Hi, my name is Laura Picasso Roberts. I go by Picasso, and I'm here to tell you about my near-death experience. This happened about almost 30 years ago. So, how the whole near-death experience thing came about is I was working on a boat, getting ready to start a charter season down in St. Thomas. And I was excited and, ready to start a new season. What happened was, unbeknownst to me, there was a problem with the outboard and it vibrated itself into gear while I was prepping to leave. And what that did, and I'm so sorry, here's a heads up if this is going to trigger anybody, but it proceeded to flip me off the back of the dinghy and proceeded to do 360s over my face, over my arm. So I had lots of trauma, lots and lots of trauma. So what happened, not to be overly descriptive, but it's really a miracle that I'm here, and I'm really grateful that I am, most days anyway. So the boat propeller on this dinghy sliced my face open from about here to here and smashed my teeth up into my sinus cavity, busted the orbit, tore the retina from the iris, made a nice gash there, nearly cut my arm off here, So a lot of icky things happened to my physical body. I would tell you what happened with regards to from there on out. I felt no pain in this near-death experience. I actually left my body. This is also fascinating how what happens when you start to make that transition or you cross over, your soul departs from your physical body. I went outside my body. I was underwater and I saw the most incredible light shined on my body. And it was crazy even because seemed brighter because I was wearing a white shirt and light colored shorts. That was the brightest light. I can't even describe how bright it was. And it shone down on my body. Now, let me tell you, there was blood everywhere, but I did not see the blood on me and or around me. I believe God takes these things away so that it doesn't stay with us. So if I had had that visual of the blood all over me, I would have even more, trauma to heal from over the years. But God took that away from me, and I'm so grateful that happened. But there was no blood on me. I was floating, but around my body, I saw myself floating, but I didn't feel wet. So it's a strange description. Underwater, floating, my hair's moving because it's underwater, but I didn't feel wet. It's so fascinating. So I remember floating around my body and watching all of this and noting like, wow, that light is just so bright. I was so entranced by that. And I remember, getting to a point of almost like a stall, like a pause, and wondering what exactly is happening here. And I remember looking away from me, and I saw this ginormous arm, almost like Statue of Liberty size arm, had reached down and with a thought, not with swimming over or walking over, but only with a thought, did I get myself over to the arm to hang on. So all of a sudden I'm there, like hanging on to this arm, and I felt like the tiniest little speck in contrast to the size of this arm. And I remember just kind of catching a breath and trying to figure out, like, I don't really understand what's happening here. But I hung on. And the next thing I remember is that, and I can actually feel it to this day, it was so impactful. When you're a kid and, an adult, if you get hurt or whatever, an adult will come along and kind of pat you on the head and just kind of say, hang on there, hang in. You're going to be okay. Okay, you're okay. That's what I felt. I felt that kind of little pat at the back of my head. And I actually heard, hang on, you're okay. Now, I heard it out loud. Then, in that moment, I didn't know who it was. Later, after, soul searching and, sitting in groups of people who had near-death experiences and having sessions of EMDR for trauma, I learned that it was actually Jesus. And in my experience now, when I check in with spirit, it's confirmation. They actually tell me, yeah, it was Jesus that you heard. And that's just the coolest thing ever. Imagine that. I love that Jesus makes himself so available to us in so many ways. Now, listen, I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church. Not that that's not okay. For some people, that's okay. But for me, it's just not my thing. So it's just an odd thing for me to have that experience. So let's go back to the actual near-death part of it. So I'm there hanging on. I hear that voice. And then I don't know how long I was down. I was down for some time because people couldn't get to me because that dinghy was doing circles. It was stuck in gear and at full throttle right over the top of me. So it took a lot of doing. People really risked their lives to save mine, which is just, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But they did. They did save my life. And so all of those things that happened there, and then all of a sudden I'm out completely blank again. The next thing I remember is waking up in a dinghy ride. I'm in the sort of the lap of a friend of mine that was on that boat, the one that I was saying goodbye to. And I remember waking up and going, where are we going? She says, we're taking you to the hospital, you idiot. And I said, I don't need a doctor. And then I passed out again. But it was at that moment in time, they hadn't seen that my arm had almost been cut off completely. And my arm flipped over and, it made them panic even more. And it was all quite traumatic. But they got me to the dock, and this is the Caribbean. And it takes a long time for anything to happen. We call that island time. And this happened in the middle of the night. So it was like 11 o'clock at night when I was leaving that boat. So all of this stuff happened, and, they got me ashore, and then it took a really long time to get an ambulance to come and get me. And then it took almost an hour to get me from the dock to the hospital, which would have been about a 10-minute walk normally, but they had trouble keeping me, I don't know, finding an IV, vein that they could use. I don't know what the problem was, but I woke up a couple of different times throughout, and then I pass out again. There was a sense of, I don't want to say there was such a huge amount of peace when I was on the other side. This is a description that I don't want anybody to bypass because it's so important that you understand this. And I can't believe I zipped right over that. So when I'm on the other side, I feel pure love, pure peace, and absolutely no pain. There was no pain, even though I was sliced open. There was no pain when I was in the dinghy, them taking me, towards the dock. God took my pain away, and I'm so grateful. So I want you to understand that when the soul leaves the body, there's no pain. There's no pain. It was just absolutely the most beautiful, pure peace, pure love that you can ever imagine. And up to that point in my soul's journey, I had never experienced love in any kind of way, but especially in that way, just pure unconditional love. So I am so grateful. Out of all the things that have happened to me, that is the most important thing to know that exists. Whether you feel it in this lifetime or you feel it once you've transitioned and you're on the other side, it is just one of those things that you get to look forward to no matter what. So I want to make sure that that comes across, and how I could forget that, who knows? But it was so beautiful in that way. So I'm going to wrap this part of my story shared to you that even though we start out in life, a certain way on a trajectory that we think is right and how we're supposed to be, don't be surprised if God's got a different path for you, and be okay with taking it when it gets put in front of you. Have the courage to trust and embrace, some of the things that are put in front of you. Call it part of the adventure, call it part of the fun, even though sometimes it can be not so much fun. Try to go with the flow a little bit and enjoy reasons why you're here. If you're not sure why you're here, ask. Ask it in a meditation, ask it in a prayer, ask however it is that you want to ask. All right. Let me just tell you, if you want to know how to connect with me, I have a website. It's called mediumshipbypicasso.com, and I have a YouTube channel. Please feel free to zip on over. It's also Mediumship by Picasso. And when you're there, like and subscribe any of the videos. I so appreciate you. And there will be other books coming. Part of this experience is for me to get it out there and share more. So we'll do that. You can buy my book on my website, or you can buy it on Amazon. It's called Walking the Way, A Story of Strength, Courage, and My Introduction to Spirit. Take it, read it, share. And yeah, I think that's it.